Someone is sitting across from you right now, maybe at a table, maybe just in your memory. You say something funny and they laugh. You watch their face do all the right things. The eyes crease, the breath catches, the laugh comes out warm and real. But how do you actually know there's anyone in there feeling it, not performing it, feeling it? How do you know that behind those laughing eyes, somebody's actually home? You've never once been inside another person's head. You never will be. Everything you know about the people you love reaches you from the outside, their words, their faces, their behavior. And from that outside evidence, you make a giant, silent leap. You assume there's an inner world in there, lit up and feeling things, just like yours. But here's the thought that quietly breaks it. What if, for some of them, the lights are off? Philosophers have a name for this, and it sounds like a horror movie. They call it a philosophical zombie. But forget the movies. This zombie doesn't shamble or groan. It looks exactly like a normal person. It talks like one. It flinches when you poke it, says ouch, and rubs the spot. It tells you about its weekend and laughs at your jokes. The only difference is that inside, there's nothing. No experience. No feeling of pain when it says ouch. No warmth when it laughs. The behavior is perfect and complete, but there's no one inside experiencing any of it. The machine runs flawlessly in total darkness. And here's the unsettling part. If a being like that is even possible, then you could be surrounded by them and never know. Because every test you could run only measures behavior. And the zombie passes every behavior test perfectly. That's the whole point of it. Hold on to that, because in a few minutes, this stops being a creepy puzzle and becomes a question about how you treat the machines and maybe the people you talk to every day. First, why would any serious philosopher take this seriously? It comes down to a gap, a real stubborn gap that nobody has closed. Think about everything science can explain about your brain. It can trace how light hits your eye and becomes a signal, how that signal travels, gets processed, triggers a response. In principle, science can map every single physical step from the photon hitting you to your mouth saying, I see red. But there's one thing all that mapping never touches: the actual feeling of red, the redness of red, what it's like from the inside to experience it. The philosopher David Chalmers gave this a name. He called it the hard problem of consciousness. The easy problems are all the mechanics, how the brain processes and reacts. Hard but solvable. The hard problem is different. Why is any of that processing accompanied by an inner experience at all? Why isn't your brain just doing its job silently, in the dark, like a very complicated thermostat? Why is there something it is like to be you? That phrase, something it is like, comes from another philosopher, Thomas Nagel. He asked a simple question that's haunted people ever since. What is it like to be a bat? A bat navigates by bouncing sound off the world. You can study its brain forever, learn every detail of how it works, and still never know what that experience feels like from the inside. There's a wall there, a private inner world you can never cross into. And that wall is exactly what makes the zombie possible. If you can explain all the behavior, all the processing, all the mechanics, and still have left over this extra thing, the feeling, then you can imagine subtracting the feeling and leaving the mechanics running. A body that does everything a person does, with the inner light switched off. That's the zombie. And the fact that you can even picture it coherently, Chalmers argued, tells you something deep. It tells you that experience isn't just the same thing as the physical machinery. There's a gap. Now, you might be feeling resistance to all of this, and you'd be right to, because there's a powerful counterargument, and it comes from the philosopher Daniel Dennett. Dennett thinks the whole zombie idea is a trick your imagination plays on you. He argues that a philosophical zombie is actually impossible, not just unlikely, but incoherent. Here's his point. If something acts conscious in every conceivable way, processes information like you, reports feelings like you, agonizes over decisions like you, then what exactly is the missing inner experience? What is left over to be absent? To Dennett, you're imagining you've subtracted something real. But consciousness, he says, isn't a magic extra glow sitting on top of the machinery. It just is the machinery, working. Asking for some additional inner feeling beyond all the functioning is like asking what a song is, beyond all the notes and rhythm and sound. There's no separate thing called the song hovering above the music. And there's no separate thing called experience hovering above a fully working mind. So who's right? Honestly, nobody can prove it yet. This is a live, unresolved fight at the frontier of philosophy and neuroscience. The zombie might reveal a genuine gap science hasn't closed, or it might be a seductive illusion, a thought that feels coherent but quietly isn't. You're allowed to sit in that discomfort. That's where the real thinking happens. But now look at where this lands in your actual life, because you already run the zombie test every single day. You just don't notice. When you type a question into an AI and it answers you warmly, fluently, like it understands, some part of you wonders, is anyone in there? Or is it the perfect zombie? All behavior, no experience, ouch, with no pain behind it? You feel the pull to treat it like a mind, and you catch yourself because you suspect the lights are off. But here's the turn. You run that same test on people too. You just hide it from yourself. The stranger serving your coffee, the face in the crowd, the person you've already decided is boring, or beneath you, or just part of the scenery. In those moments, quietly, you treat them like the lights are off, like there's no rich inner world in there, no weekend, no private fear, no laugh that's actually warm. The whole moral weight of how you treat anyone rests on a leap you can never prove. The leap that says, someone is home. You can't verify it. You never will. The wall Nagel found is real, and it stands between you and every other mind in the world, forever. So here's all you're left with, not proof, a choice, to keep making the generous leap, to assume the warmth is real, the pain is real, the person is real, precisely because you can never see inside to check. Someone is sitting across from you right now. You say something funny, and they laugh. You'll never get inside that laugh to know for certain that anyone is home, but the entire way you love them depends on believing, without proof, that someone is.